I'm Sara Wyant with Agr-Pulse, and we're pleased to have Larry Wooten, the president of North Carolina Farm Bureau, join us on Agr-Pulse. Welcome, Larry.
Sure, always glad to be with you, and thank you for what you do for the American agricultural industry. Your service is just certainly appreciated and acknowledged throughout American agriculture for the quality work that you and your company do. So thank you.
Thank you. Tell us about the issues that are at the forefront of North Carolina agriculture as we go into 2013.
Well, obviously the Farm Bill, and I'm sure some folks have talked about the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is an issue for us. In North Carolina, it's not quite as big as it is for some of our Midwestern states, but it's still a big issue. Obviously, in North Carolina, this is the first year, a lot of our issues now are local issues in terms of state issues. We've got a new governor, a new legislature, and this whole issue of tax reform is really big for us in North Carolina right now. So we're going to have to spend a tremendous amount of time looking at tax reform and how it's going to impact farmers and ranchers in North Carolina. On the federal level, probably the biggest issue that we have facing us right now is this whole issue of immigration. North Carolina is a very diversified, I think we're the third or fourth most diversified agricultural state in the nation. And if you take the four crops of ag, nursery, and greenhouse, fruits and vegetables, tobacco, and Christmas trees, they account for $2 billion of net of farm gate value for farmers in North Carolina. What do those four crops have in common? The common denominator is labor. They're very labor intensive, and so this whole issue of immigration is a huge issue for us. Clearly, immigration is a federal issue, and that's what we're pushing. And we are working closely with the other states, with American Farm Bureau, to make sure that we try to push Congress to act and do something about this deplorable situation that we have that's certainly negatively impacting American farmers and ranchers. Clearly, as I said, this is a federal issue. It's not a state by state by state issue, and we're working hard to try to get Congress to act. This would have happened. We're working. American Farm Bureau is working closely with a coalition, probably more closely than American agriculture has ever been, recognizing the tremendous importance of this issue, working closely to try to get Congress to act. And we pushed the ball down the field quite a bit. I'm sorry to say that after these killings of those kids in Connecticut, this whole issue of gun control may have preempted that temporarily. And so there are a lot of, in terms of the timetable of Congress and on the schedule of the executive branch, we still got a ways to go, but we're working on it because this is a huge issue for American agriculture.
Well, obviously, immigration reform was a big issue during the first campaign for President Barack Obama. He has mentioned that it's going to be a higher priority moving into his second term. I understand that there's already been several meetings with White House staff. What do you see as this next window of opportunity? Is it the next 9 months before we go into campaign mode again, or when do you think after gun control we might go into immigration reform?
Oh, I think immigration has got to go right along with gun control if at all possible. I think if we miss this window after the election and it gets 9-10 months down the road, we get into the mid-year elections, and it bogs down again. You know, this whole issue of immigration is I look at it as like a three-legged stool. We can, which we can agree on two of those legs. One is controlling the borders. Everybody agrees we need to control the borders, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We all agree on that. The second leg of that stool deals with guest worker programs. Generally, we can get the guest worker programs worked out. It could be difficult. A lot of people are going to be at the table, but we can still work that out. Those two legs, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, most everybody can agree on. The third leg is where the debate runs in the ditch, and it just becomes very volatile, very visceral in terms of reaction of people, and that is, what do we do with the 12 to 15 million undocumented people that are here? That is the third leg of the stool that just really begins to divide the nation. And you well know how, you know, reactive some folks can be about this. So that's, you know, that's where we've really got to come together and try to, you know, from agriculture. And what agriculture is going to have to realize is that we're not going to get everything we want in this debate. There are going to be a lot of people at this table, the Latino groups, the labor unions, you know, all the conservative folks, as well as agriculture. If we're going to push this ball down the court and get something that we can all live with as a nation, we need to fix this. This is a huge issue. To me, it's second only to the physical condition of the country. We need to get this fixed. We're a better people than where we are on this issue of immigration, and we need to get this fixed. And this whole issue of E-Verify at both the state level and at the federal level, this mandatory E-Verify, has been a game changer for American farmers and American businesses.
Give us some examples of what will happen to your farmers if there is not the capacity to fix this. You've actually had some growers who've had crops that are left standing in the field, as I understand it, because of the failure to have a reliable farm labor force.
Clearly, if you look at the demographics, we're not birthing enough people. Looking long term, we're not birthing enough people here to do the work, particularly a lot of the agricultural jobs, more manual labor jobs. You know, our farmers are paying good wages for good, honest work, but we just need the workers. We don't have them. And every time a state enacts one of these state laws that heightens the enforcement or does something that makes it very punitive for guest workers in that state, it has a tremendous impact on the agriculture in that state. When Georgia enacted their law, it cost the Georgia fruit and vegetables, I saw numbers like $240 million worth of fruits and vegetables left in the field. So it's a huge issue for agriculture.
Well, thank you for sharing your views. Larry Wooten, North Carolina Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Sarah, very much.